Chapter 3. The Fifth Academy, the number 3 martial arts training ground. If you want to become a martial artist, you must have talent. Most of you can't become a martial artist, but as long as you can become one, you're far more promising than ordinary people, and the chance of finding a job is far stronger. To become a martial artist, you must practice the body forging method. A middle-aged man was giving a lecture to a group of trainees. The students below listened very carefully. They were all civilians. The only way to learn the body forging method was through the academy. If you didn't listen carefully, once you made a mistake, you wouldn't be able to improve your strength, and you might even damage your body. Yi Tian was also among them. He had already entered the Fifth Academy, and he had been studying here for 10 days. For 10 days, the middle-aged teacher would teach the forging method every day, and personally demonstrate the 18 movements of the forging method. Perhaps because of the crossing, Yi Tian's soul was stronger than ordinary people, and his memory was also very good. So, he had mastered the 18 movements of the body forging method in just 10 days, ensuring that there would be no mistakes. As for other students, it was difficult to master the forging method thoroughly without a month or two. Of course, hiring a coach privately was a different story, but the price of hiring a coach privately was not something that ordinary people could afford. The body forging method must be completely mastered before it can be formally cultivated. This is the first action. The middle-aged teacher showed the movements of the forging method one by one. An hour passed. The teaching ended, and the students left one by one. Yi Tian, how are you learning? I've mastered 13 movements, and I'll soon be able to cultivate the body forging method. A little fat man stopped Yi Tian and said excitedly. The little fat man's name was Zhang Bao, and he was a classmate that Yi Tian met in his 10 days at the academy. Their relationship was okay. I've only mastered 8 moves. Yi Tian said deliberately. He didn't want to say that he had mastered 18 moves. Otherwise, it would definitely cause unnecessary trouble, and he had just come to this era, so it was better to keep a low profile. Come on, I'm sure you can do it, and we will definitely be able to become powerful warriors in the future. Zhang Bao said, but Yi Tian saw a touch of helplessness and even despair in the depths of Zhang Bao's eyes. Perhaps. Yi Tian smiled. He had observed Zhang Bao's talent by copying it. Although it was better than his own, it was only a second-class talent. Such a talent showed promise to become a martial artist, but Yi Tian didn't know how much time and resources it would take. Zhang Bao was not a child of a big family. He was just from an ordinary family, and he had no ability to let him continue to cultivate with peace of mind. Zhang Bao's ending would be at most a martial apprentice, and then he would find a stable job and slowly grow old, or die under a certain tide of fierce beasts in the future. Zhang Bao, who is the most talented person in our academy? Yi Tian asked in a low voice. He had only been in the academy for 10 days, and Zhang Bao had been there for more than a month. Zhang Bao was familiar with him and had a good relationship with many people, so he must know more news. The most talented? Zhang Bao didn't know what Yi Tian was doing when he inquired about this, but he still said, talent is very secret, and no one will reveal it. But it can be seen from the usual cultivation progress that our Fifth Academy is not a big college in the Linhai base. The really talented ones have gone to the First Academy, but our academy really does have a genius. Who? Yi Tian asked curiously. Chen Dong, Zhang Bao said mysteriously. Chen Dong was also born in an ordinary family. His parents are ordinary people. He came to our Fifth Academy a month ago. In just half a month, he became a martial apprentice and was then accepted as an apprentice by our dean. Now that Chen Dong is no longer cultivating with other students, but is taught privately by the dean. Phew! Yi Tian's eyes suddenly flashed with excitement. He was sure that Chen Dong's talent was definitely good, otherwise he would not have been accepted as an apprentice by the dean of the Fifth Academy. You must know that the dean of the Fifth Academy is an elite martial artist at the peak realm, and his strength far exceeds that of ordinary peak martial artists. Ordinary martial artists are even more like ants in the eyes of the dean. In the Linhai base, the dean of the Fifth Academy must be a top big man, and a primary talent is definitely not valued by the dean. The genius who can be valued by the dean is at least a medium talent. Because only those with medium talent will inevitably become an elite martial artist, and there is hope to become a great martial artist. How can I get in touch with Chen Dong? Yi Tian pondered. Just then, there was a commotion. Chen Dong is here. Oh my god, that Chen Dong, who was accepted as a disciple by the dean, actually appeared in our number 3 martial arts training ground. Wasn't he privately taught by the dean? Why did he come to our martial arts training ground? A student looked at Chen Dong with envy or jealousy. After all, this is an era of talent, and Chen Dong is a figure that they can't reach in their lifetime. Yi Tian naturally noticed Chen Dong at this time and slowly approached. Without others noticing, he approached Chen Dong's position of 3 meters, and then instantly turned on the copying talent. Human. Chen Dong. Cultivation talent. Medium. Sure enough, it's a medium talent. Yi Tian suppressed the excitement in his heart. His eyes flickered, and he secretly planned. Chen Dong, I heard that you have been accepted as an apprentice by the dean. What level of strength have you reached now? A student looked at Chen Dong with admiration and asked. I already have 200 pounds of strength. Chen Dong held his head high, triumphant. Hiss! There was an exclamation all around. To become a martial apprentice, you only need to have 100 caddies of strength. Chen Dong has not been a martial apprentice for long, yet he actually has 200 caddies of strength. At this speed, wouldn't Chen Dong soon become a martial artist? Flaunt. Yi Tian finally knew why Chen Dong came here. Obviously, Chen Dong couldn't help but come out to show off after he had just made a little cultivation achievement. It's the same nouveau riche mentality. Chen Dong, can you give me an autograph? Chen Dong, can I ask for an autograph? A student took out a pen and paper, hoping that Chen Dong could give a signature. Once he got the signature of the future martial artist, it would also be an honor. If Chen Dong would become an elite martial artist like the dean in the future, such a signature might be able to sell the living expenses of ordinary people for a few months. Okay, I'll sign you autographs. Chen Dong was a little flattered, and the eager students were not afraid. He signed autographs for the other students one by one. Yi Tian also squeezed in, but he didn't go to ask for an autograph, but to copy the talent. Touched. The moment Yi Tian touched Chen Dong's left hand, he copied Chen Dong's cultivation talent, and then quickly withdrew his arm. The whole process didn't attract the attention of others at all. After all, in this situation, it was too normal to run into Chen Dong. The medium cultivation talent has been successfully copied. Is it fused? Chapter 4. Is it fused? Yi Tian didn't dare to fuse at this time, because he didn't know what the reaction would be, and it was better to fuse in a place where no one was. The academy has loose management. It doesn't care about the students' attendance at all. Even if you don't come to the academy, it's okay. In fact, once they learned the body forging method, the students basically cultivated on their own. After all, those teachers in the academy didn't have so much spare time to teach everyone to cultivate. This is the current situation of the 5th college, and it's very different if it's the 1st college. Strictly speaking, the 1st academy is the real academy, and the other academies are just larger martial arts halls. Back home, his sister Yi Yu was reading books to learn martial arts knowledge. Those books were left by their parents. Yi Yu read them when she was free, preparing for practicing martial arts in 2 years. Yi Tian walked into the bedroom alone and locked the door. Fusion. Boom. An inexplicable force acted on Yi Tian's body, washing over his entire being. Pain. Boundless pain poured into his mind, and his whole body felt as if it was about to explode. Damn, I didn't expect the copied talent to be so painful to fuse. Yi Tian cursed secretly, but even if he knew it would be so painful, he wouldn't hesitate to fuse. This was a talent that changed against the sky, like reincarnation. What was a little pain? Brother, what's wrong with you? Yi Yu seemed to sense the voice, and stood outside the door, asking softly. It's okay. Yi Tian gritted his teeth and shouted. He didn't dare to let out a cry of pain, otherwise there would be no way to explain it. Fortunately, the pain came and went quickly. After 10 minutes, the pain on Yi Tian's body gradually dissipated and was replaced by a burst of comfort, as cool as the things of men and women. Of course, Yi Tian didn't forget the most important thing. He immediately checked his talent. Human. Yi Tian. Cultivation talent. Medium talent. Seeing the information on the virtual screen, Yi Tian couldn't help but get excited. Finally, he was no longer a weak talent, which meant that his talent had really changed, and it meant that he had an infinite future. Martial artists, elite martial artists, and great martial artists were no longer his limit. As long as he continued to integrate new talents, he would definitely become an existence above the great martial artists in the future. 1 month, one more month before I can continue to copy the talent. This was the news that Yu Tian got from his copying talent. That is, after a month, he could copy another talent. Let's try the cultivation speed brought by the medium talent first. Yu Tian couldn't wait to try it. In fact, after initially mastering the 18 movements of the body forging method yesterday, he couldn't help but try it, but unfortunately the effect was very weak. He only felt a little numb all over his body. If it wasn't for his strong soul, he really couldn't have felt it. It was precisely because he didn't feel deeply that he went to the class again today, wanting to know if he had made a mistake. But it's a pity that he didn't make a mistake at all, which meant that his cultivation speed was slow to a certain extent. If he didn't cultivate for a long time, it wouldn't have any effect at all. If he hadn't copied his talent, he couldn't hope to become a martial artist with his talent, even after a year of cultivation. First action. Second action. Yu Tian unfolded the movements of the forging method in the room. These movements looked very strange, but they were the best basic forging methods that human beings had tried again and again. It takes half an hour to complete all 18 movements, and only when the 18 movements are performed completely can there be the effect of forging the body. Soon, half an hour passed, and Yu Tian had perfected the 18 movements. When the 18th action was unleashed, a stream of heat suddenly emerged from Yu Tian's body, and this heat flow slowly flowed to all parts of his body, refining his body. This heat flow belongs to the potential of the human body, and the body forging method is to effectively develop the potential of the human body. However, overexploiting the potential of the human body will harm the body, so the body forging method can only be exercised at most 10 times a day, and can only be exercised at most 3 times at a time. This is the experience summarized by countless people. It is worthy of being a medium talent, far stronger than the effect of yesterday's weak talent cultivation. No wonder Chen Dong became a martial apprentice in just half a month, and he had the power of 200 caddies in 1 month. Yu Tian was very satisfied with the medium talent, but he also knew that there were higher talents on top of the medium talent, and the speed of progress of those geniuses was something he couldn't imagine for the time being. So, he had to work hard and try harder. When the heat flow brought by the first forging method was almost exhausted, Yu Tian continued to start the second forging method. After the body forging method was performed 3 times in a row, Yu Tian's body was covered with sweat stains, and there were faint black impurities. Yu Tian went to take a bath first, and then ate more than a dozen steamed buns. Cultivating the body forging method is very energy consuming, so you must eat more to replenish your body's energy. A month later, a grove in the 5th Academy, which was close to evening at this time, was quietly deserted. Yu Tian was cultivating here, and this was also the place where he often came to cultivate. Phew! Today's 10 times of forging the body method have been cultivated. Yu Tian put away his movements and walked to the number 3 martial arts training ground. There are many stones on the martial arts training ground, and these stones are 100 caddies, 200 caddies, and even 300 caddies. As long as you lift a 100 kilogram stone above your head for 3 seconds, it means that you have 100 kilograms of strength. If you lift a 200 kilogram stone, it represents 200 kilograms of strength, which is the easiest test method. As early as the 8th day of cultivating the body forging method, Yu Tian had the strength of 100 caddies and stepped into the martial apprentice level. I should be able to lift 200 caddies of stones today. Chen Dong has been taught by the dean, and his cultivation speed is very fast. But I'm not bad. My talent is a combination of medium talent and weak talent, theoretically a little stronger than Chen Dong. In addition, this past month, I haven't wasted a little time at all, and I've practiced all 10 times a day of body training. The more I practice, the more painful it becomes, and ordinary people may not be able to practice 10 times a day. A person with Chen Dong's temperament probably wouldn't last more than 7 or 8 times. So, my progress isn't necessarily slower than Chen Dong's, maybe it's faster. Yu Tian murmured. After resting for a while, almost regaining his strength, he walked to the 200-pound stone. Up, with both arms, he lifted the stone from under his feet, and then lifted it up with all his might. When the 200-pound stone crossed the top of his head and lasted for 3 seconds, Yu Tian threw away the stone and lay on the ground with all his strength. He knew that he already had 200 pounds of strength. This is a good start. With my medium-talented qualifications, I may be able to become a martial artist in a year. Yi Tian clenched his fists and looked forward to it. After resting for more than 10 minutes, it was getting dark, and Yi Tian left the academy and headed in the direction of home. Walking down the street, shops were still open, and the entire base was dimly lit. In this era, there was no electricity. It is said that some powerful bases were able to use yuan force instead of electricity, creating many magical devices that recreated the glory before the end of the world. But that's a big base, and a small base like the coastal base doesn't have this capability. All the houses used oil lamps or candles, and in such a street, Yi Tian seemed to have returned to ancient times. Abruptly, "Oh! Run for your life! The beast is coming!" Fear and panic permeated the streets.